Hello, this is Jeff Vaught here. Welcome to video 5 in the series How to Increase Prices and Keep the Customer. Today we're looking at step 4 of the 7-step process on how to increase prices and make them stick. Today's topic is Know the Numbers. Just to refresh on where we're going, the 7 steps to success are: number 1, accept yourself; number 2, know what you're actually selling; number 3, know what the buyer is buying; number 4, know the numbers, today's topic; number 5, increase the price; number 6, doing the deed, telling the customer; and number 7, make the cash stick. Knowing the numbers. I'd like to kick off with a quote from a guy called Dale Furtwängler, who wrote a book called Pricing for Profit. He says, ignorance isn't bliss, it's expensive. Let's reflect on that for a moment. Ignorance isn't bliss, it's expensive. As an accountant, this is my specialist topic. I want to go to the essence of what we're talking about today. Just look at some of the key things. First thing in knowing the numbers is it is vital to the health of your business. You need to know the numbers so that you can understand the health of your business. Because once you understand what's going on in the business, you can ask important questions. For example, I did some work for a trucking company. I was talking to the owner not so long ago. And what we'd done was created some reports which showed us how much money we made on the various runs that the truck did and the various days of the week and where it went. And he says, Jeff, in our business we're carrying around $500,000 worth of fresh air. Now, he didn't really mean we're carrying around all that fresh air, but what he was saying was the fact that we had these trucks that were partly loaded or were running to destination weren't profitable. And he was just using the analogy to say, we've got opportunity to work on. You need to know the numbers. Because when you have the numbers, it gives you power and control. Power and control, because you can understand what's happening and you can do something about it. It's vital to know the dynamics of the business. And the whole point of reporting and knowing the numbers is that when we know the numbers, we can slot it into our pricing decisions. You see, price and the dynamics of the business are totally interrelated. If we fully understand the cost of delivering a service or what is involved in a particular service, then knowing what's happening in the business gives us a head start in order to analyse the business and make the right decisions. You can start to think about things like the elasticity of demand. If we put our price up by some fraction, does the total demand fall in direct proportion or not? And often we will find that we can put prices up, but our customers stay loyal to us and our total profits go up. We will look at that in a future video. And we need to think about the hidden costs that sneak up on you. It's easy to say, well, this is the headline price for our product and that's all that's involved, and when you start delivering product or service, you find all these hidden pieces that come out of the woodwork, and we're going to look at that in just a moment. We need to understand about customer profitability. We often have this thought that if we put our prices up, the customer's going to go out of business and we're not going to have any customer left. The reality is that often our good or service or whatever it is we provide is only a small part in the customer's business. Putting up our prices to where it should be or making good profits is generally not going to send the customer into bankruptcy and we will lose them as a customer. By understanding customer profitability, we can focus our efforts into a particular part of the business. It is an important thing to understand. Let's look at the profit equation so we know we're on the same sheet. We start with sales, and we take off the cost of supplying the service, which is called the cost of goods sold, and it equals the gross margin. The point about this part of the equation is that every time the sales change, then we incur some cost of goods sold, the marginal cost of supplying the service. gross margin changes with the volume of sales. And some businesses work on a 50% margin, some on 20%, or whatever it is. It doesn't really matter for this discussion, but we need to understand the equation. Then we have some overheads, and overheads are costs associated with running the business, which are generally fixed. So no matter what the volume of business, the overheads stay the same. Those things like rent and the telephone and some of the administration people and so forth get down to the profit line. Now, why are we looking at this equation? Well, it comes to something called leverage, and let's look at the leverage faction. And let's say we've got a small business here with sales of 100, cost of sales of 60, gross margin 40, overheads 30, leaving a profit of 10. If we put our price up by 10%, then our sales become $110. They've gone from 100 to 110. But our cost of goods sold stay the same at 60, and so our gross margin goes from 40 to 50. The overheads stay the same at 30, and our bottom line profit, the sales price 100 to 110 is 10%. But by the time we get to the gross margin, the $50 compared to the 40 is a 25% increase. And by the time we get to the bottom line profit, we have doubled our profit. In this small example, a 10% increase in sales price has given a 100% increase in the bottom line profit. That is what we call leverage, and it is huge. And that is why it is so important to focus on sales. A lot of people, when they try and improve their profitability of business, look at the overheads, which are very, very difficult to change most often, and cost of goods sold. The biggest leverage you will have is in the sales line. In other words, the price that we charge. So let's look at leverage from another point of view. Here's the book I wrote, How to Increase Prices, 7 Simple Steps to Make It Happen and Keep the Customer. Now let's say we sell that book for $40 and then the cost of $20, so we make profit of $20, 50% margin. If I was able to put the price of the book up to $44, which is a 10% increase, the cost of the book is exactly the same at $20, but the margin that we've made from the book is now going from 20 to 24. It is a 20% increase in gross margin, and that flows straight to the bottom line. Leverage is a really important issue to think about in terms of pricing. Now, I know that putting up your prices is a really hard deal for most people, and it's much easier to think about overheads and cost of product, but the fact that there is leverage means that if you can get something out of the price, it has a big impact. You know, 1% increased price will often lead to a 10% increase in your bottom line. A 10% increase in price will often double your bottom line results. Of course, that depends what sort of business you're in and what sort of structure. So it might not apply to your business, but in some form or another, there is leverage in your business. I want to introduce you to a concept called waterfall analysis. Now here's a nice picture of a waterfall. We start at the top of the waterfall, and the water can go down multiple channels and go to the right, it can go to the left, it can go straight down. So if we start with our theoretical price, the price that we think we are charging for our product, and we follow this analysis down, this is what happens. The first thing is we often give away a freebie, and so our effective price changes because we've given away something for free. And then we'll give a discount of some form, and then we'll give a rebate. Maybe volumes of certain levels will give rebates. And then we'll give another freebie. Maybe we'll offer free installation or free delivery or free something else. And then we'll give a bonus because they're nice people, and so they'll get some reward points and so forth, etc., 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 until we come to the real dollars. So let's put this in perspective. Let's say we have a product that sells for $10,000. It might be that when we take all this into account, we only end up with $6,000 in our hand. Now this number and this analysis is important for two reasons. The first is that in many businesses we do not understand all of the things that we give away. Each department is compartmentalised. If we go back to our analysis on the previous page and think about it like this. The sales department make a sale and they say if sales get to a certain volume we'll give you a discount, so they have a percentage there. And the people in shipping say, well, if you put a big order in we'll give you some free shipping. And the terms of trade that you have with the accounting department say if you pay your bill on time we'll give you a 2% discount. And then somebody else says, well, if sales get up to a certain level we'll give you some rebates as well, and so forth and so on. In some businesses it's been found there are more than 50 types of rebates and discounts and allowances that get allocated to customers. Obviously not each customer gets each rebate, but there's such a myriad that nobody understands. This whole point of doing analysis is understanding where it is that you're giving away results. You see, putting up the price doesn't necessarily mean increasing the price of the headline product. It can mean that we charge for some of the things that we give away as freebies. So instead of, in this case here, starting with a product that sells for 10,000 and only ending up with 6,000 in our hand, we charge for some of those things we gave away and we end up with $8,000 in our hand, for example. The price of $10,000 may still be the same. The question is how much cash is left in your hand at the end of the day. Now I mentioned there are two reasons why this number is important. The second reason is that when I ask you about your price and you say, yeah, I sell my product for $10,000. Well, the reality is that you don't sell your product for $10,000. When all is said and done, you're effectively selling it for $6,000. And so if your argument is, well, if I put the price up by 10% and people stay away and don't buy from me, I'm losing a $10,000 sale, that's not actually correct. You are losing a $6,000 sale. And what it means is that if you want to increase your sales margin from 10%, then you only need to increase it by $600 on the $6,000 you're actually achieving compared to $1,000 on the headline price. In other words, in this example here, to achieve an incremental increase in profit of 10%, you only actually need to increase your prices by 6%. So it's important that we understand what we're selling and what we're giving away, so that when we come to our pricing decisions, which we'll look at shortly, we can make a valued decision as to where we're going to focus our efforts. Reality might be that we should charge for some of the things that we currently give away and therefore value at nothing. You know, maybe the client doesn't deserve the big bonuses because they haven't achieved the sales. Maybe we should charge the real cost of delivering to multiple locations. Maybe we shouldn't be giving them rebates for advertising when in reality they don't do anything that proves that that rebate is worthwhile. Again, just ideas for you to think about. So from this video, the things we need to focus on are on pages 62 to 75. Don't be scared of the numbers. Know the language that your customers deal in. Answer questions like, do buyers really buy on price? Think about the hidden costs in your business, the cost of delivering the product or service, the real costs, not just the pretend ones where you say, yeah, it's going to take 10 hours to do this job and it ends up taking 25. Think about whether your customers are profitable and what you can do to help them, and whether changing your price is going to change their profitability in any substantial way. Undertake a waterfall analysis in your business to understand what you are really giving away when you sell a product or service, and identifying things that you could maybe charge for or change the way it is delivered. Think about the impact of just a 1% price increase. The reality is that many businesses, a 1% increase in price will lead to a 10% increase in the profit. And then summarise and look at the action points. Thanks for listening. The next step is to answer the questions and look out for the next video in the series in a few days' time. Remember the old saying, if nothing changes, nothing changes. Pick a few points and focus on taking action. Ciao for now.